Joaquin Buckley, Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy Thompson did good in that first round. I thought he won the first round. He did look every bit of 40. Way bigger than Joaquin Buckley, huh? Joaquin, he passed the test. You beat the, you don't want to call Wonderboy a gatekeeper. I hate that term. But he's a guy where you beat him. It's like, now we're cooking with gas. Joaquin Buckley, now you're cooking, bud. Now you're cooking. Great call out. He learned from his wrongs with his last call out. We call out Connor, and you're just like, what in the hell? Might as well call out Tom Cruise. So this one he calls out Kamaru Usman. I love that fight. Love that fight. Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. Colby, I don't think he has a ton of fights left. Neither does Kamaru, but Colby would be a great fight. But I doubt Colby takes that. Colby's just kind of waiting back, calling his shots. But so who knows if give a young line like Joaquin Buckley a title shot or a shot at a big fight with him. But Kamaru Usman, perfect call. I'm like, there you go. Like I said, but lean into being the villain, dog. There's a lot of money in that. And it seems to be your path. There's a lot of money in that. Him and DC had a conversation. They kind of talked it out, you know, which was interesting. Yeah, they were good. Yeah, I just didn't like his disrespect to Bisbing of DC. It's like, come on, bud, don't do that. You know, he's barking up the wrong tree. But I think he should lean into the villain side. He looked fantastic. Great knockout. Great knockout. Wonder Boys, was that 4 in a row? But his last 3, it's like, come on. The UFC's just because that one fight that he turned down, the UFC's just putting him through the goddamn ringer.
2 in a row, but 1, 2.
He's lost 4 out of his last 5. Yeah. So he beat Kevin Holland. That was a good one. Jesus, yeah, look at that. Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad the champ, Kevin Holland, no punk, Schaub caught Joaquin Buckley for our last 5 stuff. And he's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's won 3 out of his last 9? It's tough.
Yep.
He's older, man. He had a great run. Great run.
Yeah, 41.
41. That's tough, dude. All good. Great career. Legend. Kayla Harrison, Vieira. This one's tough. Like Kayla won, right? And 2 judges had 30-27. It was a bad night for the women's bantamweight division. The women's division, especially at bantamweight, in general, it's just there's nothing to get excited about. Kayla Harrison was the reason to get excited. And when you're vying to become the face of the bantamweight division and for a title shot, there's just a different set of expectations, and the expectation is for Harrison to dominate. And she did well. She overcame some adversity, and she had that big cut on her forehead and stuff like that. But she didn't dominate, you know? It's similar like when Bo Nickel kind of struggled against it. You're like, oh, man. You know? They win, and it doesn't sound back that much. And her next fight, it's a little different than Bo Nickel because it's not like he struggled and then he has to fight for a title. Kayla Harrison, it's like you're only here, you're 1 or 2 away, and then you're fighting for a title. So she has to dominate, and she didn't dominate. So there's no excitement to see her against the winner of Pena versus Pennington. Because you're like, oh, man. Because if Harrison would have went in there and absolutely mollywopped her, then you're like, that's next. And then Julia Pena wins, which I gave to Pennington, but nobody got robbed. It's pretty easy to score. 2-3 is Pena all day, and then 4-5 is Pennington. And then the entire fight's dictated off the first round. Nobody got robbed. Close fight. Julia Pena, as the fight went on, especially in championship rounds, got a little tired. She's been off 2 years. All good. She's probably better for the division, you know. She's mouthpiece, entertaining, marketable, former champ. Her and Kayla Harrison were going at it the pre-fight press conference. But it's just not, you're not like, oh, I have to see Kayla Harrison versus Julian Pena. I have to see it. And then to throw more piss on top of it, Julian Pena doesn't call her out. She calls out Amanda Nunes. Like, oh, this is terrible. No one wants to see that. Well, nobody's asking for that. You pulled a page out of Buckley's book. Call it Conor McGregor. Everyone's like, what the fuck? No, that's never happening. So with Julian Pena, it's like she calls out Amanda Nunes, it's like, Amanda Nunes ain't getting out of bed for that fight. She beat the brakes off of her. She shouldn't even came out for that 5th round. Her coaches forced her out there. She beat her so bad, people were upset she went out there for the 5th round. No, we're good. The fight's Kayla Harrison. Amanda Nunes get out of bed for Kayla Harrison. Former teammates, there's a lot of meat on that bone. But Kayla Harrison, Julia Pena, the UFC's, there's Amanda Nunes, Julia Pena is not happening. It's me, Kayla Harrison. This is how this goes. It's me, Kayla Harrison versus Julia Pena. Odds are Kayla Harrison wins that fight, and it's Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, and then everybody's done. I don't know, that division's in shambles. The women division, there's no like young, fun blood to get the fan base excited about. So how it goes. I mean, light heavyweight and heavyweight's dealing with the same thing. The exact same thing. Except they don't have like a dominant champion, but they're older. Roman and Kevin Holland, that was a bummer. This card was a bummer, except for the main event. Joaquin Buckley did his job. You beat the savvy vet. You knocked him out. All right, cool. You did your job. Outside that, this card was a bit of a bummer. I'm not being negative. Just whenever I'm tired, I'm a little negative, I guess. But been up since 3, whatever. It just wasn't, the main event was great. And we'll get to that. But the card overall, like Kayla Harrison, you're like, all right, decision. And then Kevin Holland blows his rib out. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then Mario Bautista and José Aldo. There's no one on the planet who knows anything about fighting who dislikes José Aldo. And we'll relate this to the main event. So Mario Bautista won the sport. Mario Bautista had a game plan to win the sport of fighting. There's a difference between fighting and the sport. The sport, you can win, and when you become undeniable, like Ankalaev, you win a ton. A John Fitch, a Tony Ferguson, which is wild. His name's even in this conversation. But when they win so many that they're undeniable, Marab, these guys that aren't crazy markable, they're not knockout artists, they're more grapplers, but they can rack up the wins. Take Tony out of this. That was a bad example. I'm just saying he was on a huge win streak and undeniable. But like a Marab's a better example. Marab, a John Fitch. There's these guys who can win at the game of MMA. You're not being a fan favorite. You're going to have to come up with some scheme outside to get fans to tune into your fights. You're not starching anybody. You're beating good guys, but you're just not must-see TV because you're winning at the game of mixed martial arts. Does that make sense? You're good at the sport. So for Mario Bautista, who's super talented, and I'm not saying this ain't the route to go. All I'm saying is you're not going to make FU money doing this. You're not going to be a face of the UFC. You're not going to have huge sponsors. You're not going to be a guy that they're putting on the main card. Your path is a lot more difficult because you're not must-see TV, because you're dominating at the game of mixed martial arts. So Mario Bautista went into that going, I'm not going to take José Aldo down. His takedown defense is so damn good. But what I can do is win off points by forcing him to the cage, knowing I'm not going to get it, but he's okay with resting against the cage, defending the takedown. It's not going to be exciting. I'm not going to knock him out, but I'm going to win rounds. Yeah, you did. And I'm not saying that ain't the way to go. You won the fight over José Aldo, who's a savage. Congrats, dude. That's a legend. The King of Rio, dude, you did it. Super impressive. The UFC brass so that wins a big feather in your cap. For the UFC brass, it's not. And it's actually going to deter you from getting to where you want to go. Is it right? No. There should be a meritocracy where you win, you move on. It's just, you got to remember that MMA is, yes, it's a sport, but it also has its foot in the WWE. It also has its foot in entertainment. So if they can't market you If they can't package that and get fans to jump on board, your career, again, you're going to win. You're going to get those W's, but it's not going to make the difference like you think. It's just not. You're going to be better off being like a Donald Cerrone, an Alex Pereira, like Alex Pereira, the elephant in the room, he's a guy who got catapulted to the front of the line, right? Because his narrative with Izzy, just a complete striker, one of the best strikers of all time, right? Glory world champion. They were able to place him with favorable matchups in order to get to the top. And now he's at the top making more money than everybody, and he's fighting all the time, and he's getting favorable matchups. But if he came in to play the game of MMA, let's say he had a grappling background, or was just cool to win off points and stay on the outside and not be exciting, trust me, the story of Alex Pereira is not being told like it is. They would have made his life very difficult with difficult matchups. And the chance of winning is not good. They would have given you your toughest tests, and you've been on the undercards or kicking the main card off, but you would not be the face of the UFC. So there's this balance. There's this balance you have to play. And Alex Pereira is doing it better than anybody. And him saving the UFC, the biggest cards. UFC 300 saved him. Knockout artist. By him saving it, and this is third fight this year, title defense. 3 title fights, like 175 days, fastest ever, but notice the matchups. Pretty favorable, right? Everyone's like, why isn't Khalil fighting? Because he's playing the point game. Oh, they're just going to give Khalil this, or Sugar Sean, he got such an easy path to the title. Yeah, dude. Because you're playing the sport of MMA. These dudes are must-see TV. They're fighting. They're fighters. And that's where I go to Khalil Rountree. Sometimes people forget. Sometimes y'all must have forgot. There's a reason why a high-level UFC fighter, not even high-level, even a guy in the top 30, let's say, can walk into any room in the world, and you can have Premier League soccer players there. You have LeBron James, NBA players in there. You have NFL badasses there, hockey players there, any sport, F1 drivers in there. When a UFC fighter walks in the room, they all bow down like it's fucking the Lion King. Because they know they're playing a different game. It's not a game. You can play baseball. You can play soccer. You can drive cars. But you can't play fighting. And Khalil Rountree reminded everybody why the UFC's where it's at. And we haven't been put on notice in a long time. We're all comfortable. We see these knockouts or see this stuff, but you don't see a guy go through straight up fire to make himself proud in this world championship fight. Khalil Rountree had to remind you guys that there's a reason why the UFC is must-see TV. We haven't been reminded in a long time, man. You forget this is not a game. It's fighting at the highest level. And the reason why it's not about if that fighter walks in the room, he can twist everybody's neck off if you shut that door, if shit hits the fan. It's not about that. The reason why they get the respect from these other world-class athletes from other sports is because they know Khalil Rountree is probably never going to be the same. Probably not. You watched it live. Rountree should be so proud of himself. So proud of himself. At that level, he's ranked number 8 in the world, and you get a shot, which even to get a shot at a title is so rare. You're in rarefied air. You're talking about 1%ers here. To get a shot and to go out on your shield. Now, not only did he go out on his shield, but he also was up on the scorecards. All judges had him win those first 2 rounds. I did too. I told you there's going to be a speed advantage. That was going to give Alex problems. This is what makes Alex great. This is what makes champions and contenders different. Alex, he's not throwing the bathwater out. He's not in panic mode. He's not pulling the eject button. He's down 2 rounds. His team knows it. Okay. We knew this was going to happen. Just take it slow. Stick to the game plan. Open up some leg kicks. Stick to the jab. It will come. That's a pro's pro, man. Most guys are like, oh my God, I'm down 2 rounds. I got to switch up. No, Alex, all good. Okay. Just wait. But I think what Rountree did, and he didn't come into the fight thinking this. It's just who Rountree is. It's just who it's in his blood. I mean, you saw a lot of his blood, but it's just he had to remind you guys that this is not a game. It is fighting at the end of the day. It's fighting at the end of the day, and boy, did he let y'all know that this is it's just a different game, and that's why everyone loves the UFC. Look at him. Look at that. Insane, dude. Absolutely insane. He should be so proud of himself. He made himself proud. He gave everything he could do. He should be so proud. He did everything he can. You've seen those lines when they're fighting the hyenas and there's just blood all over, man. It's just he was fighting to the death. I think people, you're back drinking your fucking Coors Light and sipping, your safety shot so you don't get hungover in the morning and all that. Shameless plug there. But whatever, you're eating your Doritos or you're at Buffalo Wild Wings watching with Nick and bullshit. And you guys are having fun and all this. It ain't the Packers versus the Dolphins. It's not the Dodgers Padres. That is a fisticuff. That is a straight up, as close as you can get near-death experience that you're watching on TV. It is not a game. Now, a lot of people are playing it like a game, and it is a sport and it's a competition. But there's sometimes you have to get reminded. Oh yeah, it's a fight. Oh yeah. What you saw Rountree do, he will never be the same. He will never be the same. Patrick Mahomes will be fine. This weekend, he'll be fine. Bo Nix will be fine. Alabama lost. Oh my God, it's terrible. They'll be fine. Nobody's physically going to be different forever. Rountree, who knows? Might not be terrible. Will never be the same. The cracks in his face, the cut on his nose, the cut over his eye will never look the same. And who knows what it leads to down the road. The concussion problems, the brain damage, we don't know. That's why when he walks in a room, or any fighter for that reason, they all bow down like it's the fucking Lion King. Not because he can twist all your necks off, of course they can. It's because he's playing a different game and he's making a fraction of the pay. That's the respect. Shout out to Cleo Rountree, man.